The Reserve Bank of India today said that it has put down in place a mechanism to settle international trade, or in simpler terms, rather, import-exports in rupees. According to the statement released by the central bank, under this mechanism for international trade settlements in rupees, banks will need to seek prior approval to use. The central bank's move, which it said was to promote growth of global trade and to support increasing global interest in the rupee. The move comes amid increasing pressure on the Indian currency in the wake of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Let me go across to my colleague Tamanna, joining us to get us a clearer idea of what this really means. Tamanna, good evening. Big move by central bank, we are saying, and of course I read out the arguments presented in favor of it, but over to you to give us more clarity.
Thank you for that, Afrida. So a long-standing vision of this government has been to make the Indian currency, the rupee, a internationally acceptable and global currency. So that's the context and the background. Why are we calling this a big move by the Reserve Bank of India? Because now, technically, anyone who wants to import or export from the country can invoice, pay or settle their account in the rupee. Now, before this, most of these trades were pegged to the US dollar. Why does this become important and significant right now, and what could the possible aim be? So we should look at it in two ways. One is, of course, right now the rupee is weak. That's because the demand for the dollar is high. If you start increasing trade in rupee, you will then be reducing the local demand for dollar by that stretch, and that may help stabilize the rupee or lessen the pace at which it drops. So that's part one. Part two is you have to look at the nations which have Western sanctions against them, like Russia. If India wants to trade, for example, with Russia or with Sri Lanka, it makes more sense for us to do it in the rupee. So the RBI has now facilitated this way that you can trade, import, export and settle all those payments in the rupee. But the next question is that it sounds like a good plan on paper. Will it really be successful, and what are the hiccups there? The biggest hiccup there is that India is a nation with a high current account deficit. The rupee is, unlike the dollar, not considered a safe haven or a reserve currency or a hard currency. So we will have to see if there really is a demand for global trade in the rupee when it comes to a certain section of nations. Maybe Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka may be interested in this, but would Singapore or other nations, the United States, be interested in this? That is really the true test.
Yes, that's very important. And of course, in due course, we will get more clarity on it. How many nations react to this move also remains to be seen. Thanks for joining us, Tamanna, with the latest.